the driving force behind the Truman Doctrine. Now remember, President Truman wanted to send money to what two countries overseas? Greece and Turkey. Fun fact, he asked for Congress to send money overseas, and they did. They said, let's listen to the president on this. Okay? So they sent money to Greece and Turkey, and lo and behold, what they did was effective. Communism did not take root in Greece and Turkey. Okay? So you prove that when you do this, you can get positive results. If you provide those countries with money to help them rebuild, they won't turn to communists for help. Okay? So the Truman Doctrine, early on, it works out pretty well. Okay? So that leads to the second part of the containment policy. Remember, there's three parts. First part's the Truman Doctrine. The second part is what we call the Marshall Plan. All right? And take a look. This is one of the images from post-World War II in Europe. This was from the German city of Dresden, I believe. And you can see these buildings are like shells of what used to be there. All of Europe had practically been bombed into smithereens. And we said, look, if we can give some money to Greece and Turkey and help them rebuild, what should we do for the rest of Europe?
Give them money.
Give them money too. The Marshall Plan was a plan to loan or give money to European nations to help them rebuild. Okay? That way, they will not turn to communism. Right? Now, European nations are going to accept a lot of money from the United States. Right? And you can see this little map up here shows you just how much money they're willing to take and which countries take it. Now, they offered it to any country who wanted to accept it. Okay? But there's a catch. And there's always a catch. They said, look, we'll loan you money, and in some instances they even granted money. But they said, if you take money from us, you have to spend it on American products. All right? Now, do you think these nations in Europe, especially Western Europe, do you think they cared about having to spend it on American products?
No.
No, because they're like, number one, we're desperate for money. Plus, it's like there weren't a lot of businesses yet to have restored themselves that could operate or provide the stuff that they need. So think about this here. These countries, and the higher up the red bar, the more money they took from the United States. Okay? So you can see that obviously like Great Britain and France, two countries that take quite a bit of money. The western half of Germany, Switzerland, Italy, the renewed Austria, obviously Ireland, you see Greece and Turkey over here. They're taking quite a bit. Portugal's not even really involved, and they're like, we'll take some money.
There's Iceland.
Iceland up here as well.
They didn't do anything.
Not really. They provided bases for the British and Americans, but they're not that big of a deal. But the Americans said, we'll make money available to anybody who wants it as long as they buy American products with it. Okay? Now, we even told the Soviet Union, hey, you guys can get in on this too. And what do you think they said? No. Why would Soviet Union not take the money? Because they needed it. Remember, who had the most deaths and damage from World War II? Soviet Union. They should take it as much as anybody else, though. Why would they not?
They don't trust America, right?
Why not?
Capitalism.
All right. All the reasons we talked about before, especially the angle of capitalism. They're like, hey, you capitalists, that's all you care about is making a buck. Because you're willing to loan or give money to them, but where do they have to spend it? On American products. So that's what you really care about. That's one reason. What's another reason that Russia would not take the money? Toby.
It would completely go against their ideology of communism.
Has nothing to do with communism. If you're the Soviet Union, why would you not take money from America?
Pride?
What is it?
Pride?
Exactly. What do you mean pride? Explain it.
Wouldn't it be damaging to your pride to take money from a place that you don't trust?
You would be terribly damaged. Your pride, your ego is damaged because if you take money from the Americans, what are you admitting? That you need help, and you need it from somebody that you supposedly can't stand. Some people's pride and ego gets in the way of that. And Russia said, we're not taking money. Russia also said, like all these nations here in Eastern Europe that had kind of gone communist and that the Russians had taken during World War II, they wouldn't let those countries accept it either. Wow, that's really rude. Okay, so you have Western Europe, you get Greece and Turkey as well, who are taking this Marshall Plan money. And it's over a period of 3 years, but this tells you the figures that each country's taking and how much in total. It's in millions of dollars, which means if you look at the bottom over a 3-year time period, $12.7 billion. Now, $1 billion in 1948 equates to about $11 billion today. So you're really looking at somewhere in the neighborhood. If we did that for countries today, we'd be spending like $140 billion. That's what we'd be investing. Right? Now, not only are these nations going to not turn to communism, but there's another angle too. Okay? Hey, Bella, why would Americans not just love to prevent communism from spreading, but how else does America benefit from this? Why? They're giving out a loan, they get to be paid back, and on top of that, where do they have to spend the money? America. Are businesses in the United States going to benefit from this?
Yes.
100%. They are going to benefit from this. Right? This is going to inject a new life into America in the 1950s for their economic situation. Think about this. If you're going to rebuild a city, what are some basic supplies that you would need? What's something?
Wood.
Wood, obviously. What else? Steel. What else?
Bricks.
Bricks. Glass.
Building materials like hammers and stuff.
Tools. Concrete. Now, imagine in the United States, let's say that you supply bricks. Your company makes bricks or concrete. What do you think is going to happen to your level of business? It's going to skyrocket. All right? You're going to find out that America during the 1950s, it might be successfully, like economically wise, the most successful decade we've ever had. Because we're helping people rebuild from the war, and we're going to get paid back a lot of this money from loans. Yes? That's a good question. I'd have to check into that, but not from, I don't know about from this, the Marshall Plan. All right? So this is the second part of the containment policy. The idea is that if we make friends with these countries and provide them the resources they need, then they won't turn to the Soviet Union for help. Okay? And it works. This provides Europe with all the resources they need to rebuild. Right? The Marshall Plan is considered a success. Yes?
How does the Soviet Union help if they're also like going through a tragedy with like everything?
Great question. Do you think the Soviet Union's concerned about helping anyone? No. And here's what's awful in a way. Let me go back and show you this map here. Right? While the United States is helping Western Europe recover, the Soviet Union, they're struggling really hard too. Okay? And they're not helping these other nations. They said, look, these nations right here, the only thing we care about is, one, spreading communism to them, and two, they saw these as like what they called a buffer nation. They said, look, we're always a little leery of Germany because 2 world wars and Germany's invaded us twice. So this way, if Germany ever invades us again, at least they'll have to go through other countries and we can be more well prepared. Because if devastation happens to these countries, well, that's not our problem. So we'll be prepared by the time they get to our doorstep. And that's a good question. They're not intent on helping others. Third part of the containment policy is a treaty organization. It's an alliance called NATO. NATO stands for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's an alliance between the United States, Canada, and Western Europe. It's an alliance system between the United States, Canada, and Western Europe. You attack one of us, you attack all of us. Right? It's meant to deter the Soviet Union. Well. The idea was to deter the Soviet Union. NATO, by the way, stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Because it's, the North Atlantic and the countries are all in the North Atlantic. It's not just a clever name. NATO still exists today. We have a defense pact with these nations where we say, hey, we'll protect you, you protect us. Somebody attacks you, we're on your side. Right? And so these are the three basic components of the containment policy. We have a defense agreement with these countries. We're giving money to European nations, and we're willing to go wherever to fight the threat of communism. Right? Now, the Soviet Union's not just sitting around letting America call the shots. They're busy with some things of their own. One of the things the Soviet Union is doing is they form an alliance system of their own called the Warsaw Pact. It's between the Soviet Union and Eastern European nations. And you can see that it covers a large swath of land. That's a huge chunk of the land in the world. Okay? The Warsaw Pact. It's an alliance between the Soviet Union and Eastern European nations. And that's not all the Soviet Union's up to as well. By 1949, the Soviet Union had developed the atomic bomb. Sounds like an explosive situation. Wow. No? Are my jokes a little too radioactive? Come on, those are good ones, right? Oh, man. Look, here's the thing, and here's what should really upset you, too. The Soviet Union, most people want to believe that they got the atomic bomb because they have really good scientists. They did have some good scientists, but they also got some help. And a group of Americans formed a little spy network and gave the Soviet Union the information about how to make the atomic bomb. Oof. The Soviet Union got the atomic bomb probably about 5 to 6 years before they would have figured it out on their own. Ooh, man. What do you think happens to Americans who give away nuclear secrets? It doesn't go well for them. Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, if you ever get a chance, look them up. They help set up a spy network in the United States, and they give nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Both of them got executed. Yikes. All right? So the Soviet Union says, hey, we got things going on, okay? We're developing an atomic bomb. We've got our own defense system. It's a really ugly situation, okay? Now, the Cold War, all right? The Cold War is all about trying to prevent World War III, but at the same time, getting at your enemy any way you can and blocking their goals and objectives. And the first real battle of the Cold War comes over the issue of the city of Berlin, right? So right now, I'm going to give you a little document, and I'm going to have a video for you to watch.